The Cornish coast was unusually still on that day. The air was crisp, and the sky was a clear, unbroken blue, stretching endlessly above the tranquil waters. The sea, normally a roiling giant, lay calm and serene. It was as if the ocean itself was holding its breath, waiting for something extraordinary to happen. Ethan, a dedicated marine biologist, was out on his usual patrol, collecting water samples. His work was meticulous, driven by a passion for understanding the mysteries of the deep. The sun beat down on his back, warming him. It was a welcome contrast to the cool breeze that swept across the water, carrying with it the salty tang of the sea. He loved this time of day. The solitude and the vastness of the ocean always filled him with a quiet joy. The endless horizon was a canvas of possibilities, each wave a brushstroke of nature's art. As he leaned over his boat, preparing his equipment, a flash of silver caught his eye. It was a fleeting glimmer, almost too quick to be real. Something shimmered beneath the water's surface. The light danced and refracted, creating an almost magical effect that drew him closer. At first he thought it was a large fish, but as he got closer, he realized with a jolt that it was something far more extraordinary. His heart raced as he peered into the depths. It was a woman, her lower half a shimmering, iridescent tail, her upper body lean and strong, her eyes wide with fear. She was unlike anything he had ever seen, a living embodiment of the myths he had always dismissed. Ethan had heard the legends, the whispered tales of mermaids that had been passed down through generations of Cornish fishermen, stories of beautiful, elusive creatures that lured sailors to their doom. But he, like most, had dismissed them as folklore. Mere stories to entertain children and tourists, not something a serious scientist would ever consider real. And yet here she was, real and vulnerable, caught in the fishing net he himself had set out earlier. The net that was meant to capture data had ensnared a legend. He rushed to haul the net in, his heart pounding in his chest. Each pull brought her closer, and with it, the realization that his world was about to change. He carefully untangled the net, his hands shaking slightly as he came into contact with her skin, cool and smooth like the finest silk. The sensation was surreal, a blend of reality and fantasy. Her eyes, large and blue, locked onto his, a mixture of fear and gratitude in their depths. They seemed to speak volumes, conveying emotions that words could never capture. As soon as she was free, she turned, ready to disappear back into the depths. Her movements were fluid and graceful, a testament to her aquatic nature, but Ethan, compelled by an unknown force, reached out a hand. It was an instinctive gesture, driven by a need to connect, to understand. "Wait," he whispered, his voice hoarse with emotion. The word hung in the air, a fragile bridge between their worlds. She paused, her head tilted to one side as if considering his words. There was a moment of hesitation, a silent dialogue that passed between them. For a moment they simply stared at each other, two beings from different worlds brought together by fate. The air was thick with unspoken questions and possibilities. Then, slowly, she swam towards the boat, her tail shimmering in the sunlight. Each movement was deliberate, as if she was testing the waters of this new reality. Ethan felt a connection, something deep and primal, stir within him. It was a bond that transcended logic, rooted in the very essence of their beings. He knew at that moment that his life, and the world as he knew it, would never be the same again. The encounter had opened a door to a realm of endless possibilities, forever altering his perception of reality. Ethan carefully helped the mermaid, whose name he learned was Coralia, into a large saltwater tank he had on board. She was weak, dehydrated, and clearly uncomfortable. He had so many questions, but he knew he had to get her help first. He radioed back to the mainland, keeping his voice low and calm, trying to explain the unexplainable. The news was met with disbelief and skepticism, but Ethan insisted, his voice firm. He wouldn't abandon her. He brought Coralia back to his secluded coastal cottage. The cottage, normally filled with the comforting sounds of the sea, felt different, charged with an unfamiliar energy. He filled his bathtub with salt water, adding seaweed and algae he collected from the shore. Coralia seemed to relax slightly, her breathing becoming more even. He studied her as she rested. Her skin shimmered like pearls, her hair, a cascade of seafoam green, spread around her like a silken net. She was the most beautiful creature he had ever seen. But her beauty was only a small part of her allure. Her eyes, intelligent and expressive, held a depth of emotion that captivated him. The language barrier was a challenge. Coralia spoke in a series of clicks, whistles, and melodic sounds that Ethan couldn't decipher. He tried sign language, drawing pictures in the condensation on the side of the tub. Slowly, painstakingly, they began to understand each other. Ethan learned about her world, a world of vibrant coral reefs teeming with life, of underwater cities lit by bioluminescent plants, of a society where harmony with nature was paramount. Coralia, in turn, listened with fascination as Ethan described the human world, with its bustling cities, its technological marvels, and its complex and often contradictory nature. Despite their differences, there was a connection between them, a spark of understanding that transcended language and culture. The weeks that followed were a blur of activity, a whirlwind of tasks and responsibilities that seemed never-ending. Ethan, sworn to secrecy, worked tirelessly to care for Coralia, ensuring her well-being and comfort in this strange new environment. He expanded the saltwater pool in his backyard using his savings and the generous donations of a few trusted colleagues who believed his incredible story. The pool became a sanctuary, a place where Coralia could feel a semblance of home. He brought her fresh seafood every day, marveling at her appetite and grace as she ate. Each meal was a reminder of the ocean's bounty and the delicate balance of her diet. He learned to read her moods, the subtle shifts in her expression that spoke volumes. The way her eyes would light up with curiosity or darken with sadness, the slight curve of her lips when she was amused, the way her tail would swish back and forth when she was impatient, creating ripples in the water that mirrored her restlessness. The way she would gently touch his hand with her webbed fingers when she was happy, a silent gesture of trust and affection. He discovered that she loved music, especially the sound of the cello, and would spend hours listening to him play, her eyes closed, her body swaying gently to the melody. The music seemed to bridge the gap between their worlds, creating a shared language of emotion and beauty. Coralia, despite her initial fear and homesickness, found herself drawn to Ethan's kindness and compassion. His gentle nature and unwavering dedication made her feel safe and valued. She was fascinated by his world, so different from her own. The human world was a tapestry of wonders and mysteries, each day bringing new discoveries. She loved to watch him work, her head tilted to one side as she observed him with her large, intelligent eyes. His hands, so skilled and precise, created things she had never imagined. She was amazed by his inventions, his books, his music. Each item was a window into the human experience, a glimpse into a world of creativity and innovation. She would spend hours looking through his telescope, marveling at the stars, trying to find her own planet in the vastness of space. The night sky became a canvas of dreams and possibilities. As they spent more time together, the initial spark of attraction grew into something deeper. Their bond strengthened with each passing day, built on mutual respect and understanding. They would talk for hours, sharing stories, dreams, and fears. Their conversations were a blend of laughter and tears, revealing the depths of their souls. Ethan told her about his childhood, his love for the ocean, his hopes for the future. He spoke of the adventures he dreamed of and the discoveries he longed to make. Coralia, in turn, spoke of her family, her life in the ocean, her longing for a world where humans and mermaids could coexist in peace. She shared tales of underwater cities and the vibrant marine life she missed. They were two souls from different worlds, brought together by chance. Their meeting was a twist of fate, a convergence of destinies. But as the days turned into weeks, they realized that their differences paled in comparison to what they shared. A love for their respective worlds, a thirst for knowledge, and a deep, abiding affection for one another. Their connection was a testament to the power of love and understanding, transcending the boundaries of their origins. One evening, as Ethan and Coralia were having dinner by the serene ocean, the waves gently lapping at the shore, she suddenly stopped eating, her hand flying to her stomach, her face contorting in an expression of surprise and discomfort. Her eyes widened, and she let out a series of high-pitched clicks and whistles that made Ethan's heart race with a mix of fear and confusion. He rushed to her side, his brow furrowed with deep concern, his mind racing with questions. He couldn't understand her words, but he could sense her distress, the urgency in her eyes. He called the only person he knew who might be able to help, a brilliant but somewhat eccentric marine biologist named Dr. Amelia Singh, hoping she could provide some answers. Amelia, who had always been skeptical of Ethan's claims about Coralia, was stunned into silence when she saw her. Her scientific curiosity piqued. After examining her, Amelia took Ethan aside, her face a mixture of astonishment and disbelief, her voice barely above a whisper. "Ethan," she whispered, "Coralia is pregnant." The news hit Ethan like a tidal wave, crashing over him with an intensity he had never felt before. A baby, his baby, and Coralia's. The realization was both exhilarating and terrifying. He was going to be a father, a thought that filled him with a profound sense of responsibility and wonder. He rushed back to Coralia, his heart overflowing with a mixture of joy, excitement, and a healthy dose of terror, emotions swirling within him like a storm. He knelt beside her, gently taking her hand in his, feeling the warmth and connection between them. He didn't need words to communicate his feelings. They were reflected in his eyes, in his touch, in the way he looked at her, his heart overflowing with love and devotion. They were reflected in his eyes, in his touch, in the way he looked at her, his heart overflowing with love. Coralia, despite her own anxieties, was overjoyed, her smile radiant even through her tears. She had learned from observing other species in the ocean that childbirth was a sacred and powerful experience, a testament to the enduring strength of life, a miracle of nature. She had witnessed firsthand the fierce love and protectiveness of mothers towards their offspring, the unbreakable bond that formed between them. And she felt those same instincts welling up within her, a deep primal connection to the life growing inside her. The news of Coralia's pregnancy spread like wildfire through the small, tight-knit community of marine biologists and oceanographers that Ethan was a part of, creating a buzz of excitement and curiosity. Messages of congratulations poured in from all over the world, from colleagues and friends who had followed Ethan's journey. Some were skeptical, some were curious, but most were supportive, offering their help and expertise, eager to be a part of this extraordinary event. Ethan and Coralia were no longer alone in their extraordinary journey. They had a community behind them ready to support and celebrate with them. They had become a beacon of hope, a symbol of the boundless possibilities that could exist when different worlds collide, inspiring others with their story of love and resilience.